A former Barbados Prime Minister urges citizens to come to grips with the country's economic situation. And in sport, Cricket West Indies buries the hatchet with another player. I'm Nicole Best, and this is the Caribbean in 10 for Friday, July 14. I'll be back with the details after the break.
Join the Caribbean Broadcasting Union and its regional and international partners at the CBU Annual General Assembly, August 21st through 24th at the British Colonial Hilton Hotel in Nassau, the Bahamas, under the theme Digital Developments in Caribbean Media. Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Dr. the Honorable Hubert Alexander Minnis, will welcome delegates during the opening ceremony. Guyana's Minister of Public Telecommunications, the Honorable Kathy Hughes, will offer a keynote address on digital developments in the region. See the launch of the UNESCO-sponsored Manual of Social Media Guidelines for Caribbean Journalists, with guest speaker Jamaica's Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn. And hear from international media players about the new developments in digital television standards in Europe, the US, and Japan. And this year's Caribbean Broadcasting Awards Gala at the Atlantis Resort Paradise Island is not to be missed. Call 246-430-1007 to book your space in the 3-day conference and exhibition. Don't miss the CBU 48th Assembly at the British Colonial Hilton Hotel in Nassau from August 21st through 24th. Discounts on flights to the assembly on the official airline, Caribbean Airlines.
We begin in Barbados, where former Prime Minister Owen Arthur says Barbadians must come to terms with the country's economic situation. He made the statement in the wake of an ultimatum issued to the government by 4 trade unions that are demanding a reprieve from tax measures announced by Finance Minister Chris Sinclair in the May 30 budget. Arthur, who was also Finance Minister, warned that the vast economic problems could not be solved by political theatre or gimmickry. The 4 trade unions on Tuesday staged a march to protest against the controversial increase in the National Social Responsibility Levy from 2 to 10%. They are demanding that there be a reduction in the levy, saying that if this is not done, they will take industrial action. Meanwhile, a comprehensive assessment of Barbados's informal economy is being undertaken to examine how the sector could be modernized. Director of Research and Planning in the Economic Affairs Division, Dr. Patrick Macassey, says the results of the study would assist government in determining a more tailored and discrete set of strategies to explore the economic potential. He said the idea is to create additional sources of revenue and to achieve greater fiscal efficiency, alleviate the budget deficit, and spread the burden of taxation more equitably. Dr. Macassey says the recommendations from the consultancy will be critically assessed, then forwarded to the Minister of Finance for his review, and then to Cabinet for consideration. The Guyana government says it's moving forward with plans to modernize the country's prisons. Public Security Minister Kimraj Ramjatan made the disclosure as he gave an update on last Sunday's prison riot and the prisoners who remain at large. He also dismissed the call for government to privatize the prison service. Ivor Wharton of Capital News has the details.
No privatization of the prison system in Guyana, according to Public Security Minister Kimraj Ramjatan. Minister Ramjatan made the comment at a press conference to address a number of issues, among them plans to reform the prison system.
This is a recommendation for the institution and the enhanced governance and for the centralized thing. It will be owned by the government. We are not privatizing or regionalizing. The government will be the chief proprietor of this thing. We will have to fund it through our finances and all of that. It will come under an executive director. That is the administration of it. And all the jobs and the people and the qualifications that will come for a modernized system are all placed here. The qualification especially is important. The project officers, the research officers, the planning and resource mobilization officers, how many people are going to be there. It's a brand new system completely.
The Private Sector Commission recently called for the local prison system to be privatized. The minister also said contrary to media reports, only 91 prisoners were released, either on bail or early release. According to the minister, 57 inmates were granted early release, while 34 were placed on self-bail or reduced bail by magistrates.
Early release was in relation to a period of a week to 1 month. So it is persons who would have ordinarily been released at the end of first week in August. The first week in August. Under a certain provision of the prison rules, I have the power, a very wide power, to grant, on the recommendation of the Director of Prisons, early release, or earlier still, release of those persons.
Over in the Bahamas, a former environment minister was remanded to prison when he appeared in court yesterday on charges of extortion, accepting bribes and misconduct in public office. Former Kendra Dossett was charged with extorting $120,000 from Jonathan Ash. He's also accused of accepting bribes in the same amount sometime between March 1 and May 9 this year. Dossett pleaded not guilty to all the charges. The case was adjourned to August 31. His arrest has drawn the ire of interim leader of the opposition Progressive Liberal Party, Philip Davies, who pledged the party's full support for the embattled former minister. He accused the Free National Movement government of conducting a witch hunt and questioned whether it was possible for Dossett to get a fair trial. Stay with us. Your midday sport is next.
The first event of the games, sitting volleyball, saw the Air Force and SOCOM teams moving on to the gold match being held later next week, and Army beating the Marines for the bronze medal. Of course, the official start of the games wouldn't be complete without the ceremonial lighting of the cauldron and a few motivating words from the ceremony's host, Jon Stewart.
I didn't come up here to support these athletes. I came up here to get support.
Right now, I think what Congress can do best is pursue tax reform through what's called reconciliation. That's a geeky term for a budget process that allows them to pass a bill with only 51 votes in the Senate. So you get rid of the threats of the filibuster. And what it should do is it should lower the rates broadly so that you make up for any deductions and loopholes that you're cutting out of the tax code, which you should absolutely do.
Cricket West Indies and another player have settled their differences. Just hours after announcing an end to the impasse with leading Test batsman Darren Bravo, CWI said promising left-hander Nicholas Pooran has been cleared to return to West Indies colours. The 21-year-old Trinidadian top-order batsman and wicket-keeper had been suspended by CWI for opting out of the Professional Cricket League despite being selected by Leeward Islands Hurricanes for last season's campaign. But the CWI said yesterday that the period of the player's suspension had since elapsed and both parties had opted to settle the matter amicably in the best interest of West Indies cricket. In a statement, CWI said both sides are committed to the development of West Indies cricket at all levels and continue to have those interests uppermost in their minds. It added that while not delving into the merits of their respective positions on the matter, the parties regretted that it occurred as it did and accepted that it had served as a learning experience for both players and administrators in terms of best practice for the professionalization of cricket in the region. And that's Caribbean in 10. Join us at 6:30 for Caribbean Newsline. Have yourselves a good afternoon.